Did you do some exploration off stream?
Hello again.
Yes, I did. So yesterday, man. Yesterday, I did every puzzle, found every chest that I could find. I basically 100%ed everything on Golden Apple with the exception of world quests. World quests are the only thing I didn't do. And the amount of puzzles has drastically changed how I feel about this Golden Apple patch. There's too fucking many puzzles, dude. Like, the puzzles just killed a lot of the experience for me, especially because I would say the amount of time that's required is disproportionate to the return on that investment. Like, this is the first patch that I've ever had to look up a guide and I was just like, I'm not doing this. Like, I'm not spending an hour working on like a small piece of this island because it's so fucking bloated and there's too much, and it kind of ruins the pacing of exploration for me. And not only that, and you have to understand too, I just went through all of the original Golden Apple content for YouTube. So I literally have a very recent re-experience of the original Golden Apple. This isn't like, oh, I'm thinking fondly on last year and how I can compare. Like, I literally just re-experience everything I went through last year, from finding chests to doing the puzzles with the Harpastum ball to exploration to some of the, like, to the conch lore and all that. And like, I just feel like they were juggling too much here and they just fucking fumbled at the end. You know, and some people will be like, oh, well, that's kind of understandable. They're working with 4 different characters, but it's like they're trying to do so much, right? They have 4 individual story quests, 4 different islands catered to those 4 different characters, which means that there's no uniformity like there was in the first Golden Apple, where everything was like, no matter what island you went to, all of the mini games were of the same variety. You throw the Harpastum through the hoops, you got to turn some of the knobs, you got to turn some of the dials, you got to push some away, you got to bring some up, but like, it's all universal. Like, all of the puzzles were interesting. You go to Kazuha's, I don't know. Yo, honestly, fuck Kazuha's Island and fuck Mona's Island. For the puzzles, those are the absolute worst experiences that I've ever had in the game. Like, I'm being dead serious too. Like, I did not enjoy. Whoever thought Kazuha's Island was a good idea, I really hope they never do that shit again. Go to the set piece, change the island, go back up top, do this one puzzle, go back, change it, switch to a different set. Oh, you did the wrong, that's the wrong combination for the puzzle. Okay, go back, change it again. Oh, like, fast travel to the top of the island. Oh, you fell off. Okay, you have to fast travel back up. All right, make sure you have the right character equipped this time. Like, it's such a fucking mess. Kazuha's Island was so scuffed, dude. Mona's Island was just so fucking annoying because I play on controller and my sensitivity's at a certain point. So my character is just constantly looking up in the sky, looking back down, looking back up, looking back down, and I'm like, bro, I don't want to do this anymore. This was the first patch that I ever pulled up a guide for finding all the chests in the Golden Apple. Shout out to Kim Dow Games. She has a channel dedicated exclusively to finding chests, and I just watched a 3-hour fucking overworld video of finding all the chests in the Golden Apple because I'm not doing this. Like, my time is way too valuable for this shit. Xinyan's Island, see here, and here's another thing too, right? Another thing too that I realized that's a little frustrating. I don't know why, but it's kind of weird. But Xinyan's second run, when you do the domain and you do all the different challenges, I don't know why they made that completely isolated from her story portion. Because I actually would have preferred the domain with the puzzles with the story. But it's almost like the story's this way, and then all the domain and cool like puzzle shit is that way. And so like, I literally didn't do any of it. There was like 17 chests and a conch in her domain, and I'm like, why didn't they just take that route and combine, like, just make one? Like, I literally don't know why they did that. I honestly think they did it just so it would be an excuse to give you more stuff to go back in and do again. It's like, oh, you didn't finish everything, okay, go back in and do it. Because I actually really liked I actually really liked Xinyan's domain. Like, I genuinely enjoyed it, and I was like, this kind of sucks that I didn't get to stream all of this stuff because it was really cool. Like, I liked the combat, the domain was kind of like expanding the further you went in, and I'm just like, why split it up like that? It was so weird. To be dead ass, like, Fischl's domain was the only one that I felt like was cohesive and it was great from start to finish, and I pretty much found everything on my first run, so I didn't have to go back into her domain at all. Now the overworld and the fucking ravens and like the minigames where you literally just have to sit there and watch each raven move and turn their heads, and each of them get to say a line of dialogue, and then you get to decide who the culprit is, and if you guess wrong, it restarts the whole thing over and you got to sit through it all and you can't skip anything. I'm like, why are they doing this? Like, why are they, why? Like, I kept asking, like, why are they doing this? Why did they decide to do that? This is annoying. I really felt like my time was being wasted. I have such a love-hate relationship with this patch because, like, I'm not gonna take back what I said initially after finishing the story and, like, all of the character event quests, like, the character event story stuff, because, like, I skipped all of the annoying shit. But then when I had to do all that stuff, it really, like, revealed, like, a lot of the glaring issues. And so, I don't know. I really just felt like they were trying to juggle so much, bro. And I still have world quests to do. They were like, okay, let's give you Golden Apple story event with 4 different characters. Let's give you 4 different islands tailor-made to those 4 different characters, which in turn have their own like they have their own range of puzzles. You got Kazuha's island, which is like 9 different possible combinations, which is fucking annoying. I don't know why they decided to do that. Shanian's domain was actually really cool, but what they decided to do was split the story into one direction and then the cool puzzles in the other direction instead of taking those 2 different things. Fuck it, who cares if it's linear? If it's enjoyable and it's a first time experience, I'm gonna enjoy it and it's gonna be a lot more memorable for me. So the fact that they split Shinyan's up was annoying to me. Fischl's was the only one that I felt like was actually enjoyable. Like, I actually don't think I have a lot of issues at all with Fischl's domain. Her overworld's a little annoying though. And then Mona's domain and the overworld is collectively annoying. Like, if you enjoy puzzles, if you enjoy like literal fucking brain teaser level puzzles, like, you're gonna enjoy it, sure. I enjoy puzzles to a certain degree. After like the 20th puzzle in a row, I'm over it. And the fact that almost every single chest in this event is tied to a puzzle of varying levels of difficulty, and 90% of them is a common chest with 2 primo gems. At that point, I'm like, you're wasting my time, and the return on investment is not worth the 5 minutes it took for me to solve this puzzle was not worth the 2 primo gems that you gave me in return. And then on top of that, you had they threw in so many other things too. Like, they had like the surf challenges for like the wave rider. They had all those, and I guess that's okay, that's fine. I just did the co-op content as well, and at that point, because I was so overwhelmed by the amount of bullshit I just went through, I was just like, bro, I don't fucking want to do this. Like, this just seems like busy work at this point. Like, even like, I did everything. I got everything in the shop. I completed all the content. I just have to do world quests now, and I still have to do world quests now. You know what I mean? So it's like all of this other, like, there's too much. They put way too much in here. By trying to do 10 different things, it just seems like it's just a mess. It comes off as a mess. It comes off as no uniformity, no level. And I get it. It's like, well, there's a lot of, like, but sometimes less is more. I understand more now why the first Golden Apple was so entertaining and enjoyable for me, because it was focused on just Klee, and all of these things were centered around her experience. And so because it was in like 4 different characters and 4 different things, and let's try to do something different for each of them, it felt like, it feels, number one, it feels more meaningful, it feels more memorable, and it feel like the pacing was great too. Like, I wasn't completely overwhelmed with exploration, because it's like, go up this big island, search for all the chests and puzzles from top to bottom, or from I went from top to bottom last year, so from top to bottom, and then you move on to the next island. And I actually finished all of the exploration for the Golden Apple last year before I finished the story content. This year I had to do the opposite, because the story content for each character was like almost 2 hours long. And I feel like at a certain point, like, the length, something going on for too long can also be a deterrent. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's just so much in this event. The one thing that I'll say in this event that I appreciated more than last year was just they gave characters screen time who have not had screen time in a very long time. Kazuha has been kind of spoiled rotten. Iridori Festival, he got a story quest with Kagotsurobe Ishin, and then he has his, like, event story here, which gives us his family backstory. Fischl has been fucking droughted. Like, she's been in a drought ever since 1.1. Kind of the same thing with Mona. And Shinyan's basically an event exclusive character, so having her in the story is great, despite all of her content being exclusive, which is unfortunate. I just felt like in doing too much, they really kind of undid everything, in my opinion. And another thing too is, like, I feel like this version's overworld, like the overworld of the Golden Apple Islands, like the original island settings, are a lot more bare than last year's. And I feel like that's because they put all of the points of interest on the domain areas, like the domain areas, Imanakreich Castle, Mona's like island with like the Mondstadt structures. I feel like it was like this island, this island, this island, and this island. These specific areas within those islands are where you're gonna find the chests, where you're gonna find the monsters. But then if you go off the beaten path to like a random like rock structure in the ocean, last year there would be a chest there, or a conch, or a puzzle or something. This year there was nothing, and I was just like, take me out of the equation. This was someone's first golden apple, and I feel like those same beats, bells and whistles from the first one should have been in here for people who it was their first time playing. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I know it's a lot to bitch out about. I know it's a lot of critiquing and things of that nature, but like, that's just really how I feel. And like I said, I just edited 1.6 golden apple. So for me, more than anybody, like I have such a raw one-to-one comparison between last year's and this year's. And I really feel like last year's was stronger, save for the 4 characters that got their time to shine with the story content, which unfortunately is limited. I feel like the overworld comparison, it was just way too bloated. There was so much they were trying to do in so many different ways, and it kind of got out of hand at some point. But that's just one man's opinion, you know what I mean? Like, who the fuck am I? Who gives a shit what I have to say? And you know, but at the same time, like, I've been playing this game, I've done every piece of content in the game, and I've been like fighting with myself for the last week or so, and I was just like, what is it about this patch that I'm just... And the worst part about it too is there are so many people that are like, I still need to finish Golden Apple. If you're saying that 2 weeks before Sumeru comes out, there's an inherent problem. If you have to say to yourself, I'm still not done, there's still things I need. Yo, show of hands, how many people have not finished everything in Golden Apple yet? Because to me, that proves that to some degree there's validity in there being too, and there is such a thing as too much. So much so that you overwhelm people and then they just don't want to play. And that was me 2 days ago. I was like, bro, I don't want to do puzzles. I don't want to go and look for these because that's another thing too. I feel compelled to, because like I'm a big completionist. Like I have all of the other regions complete. I 100%ed the original Golden Apple and I wanted to do the same here, but like and it's not even about being like smart enough or galaxy brain enough to like first try these puzzles. It's like after a while it just drags on, and I'm like, at some point you ask yourself, when is it gonna fucking stop? When is it gonna end? And if I have to get to that point, something's gone wrong along the way. So I really hope people voice their opinions about this in the 2.8 survey that will most likely be coming out before this patch is over. Sometimes less is more. And I honestly feel like, and I still have world quests to do. I'm still not even done. I still have world quests to do. And so like, it just feels like at this point, I'm like, bro, I just want to be done with it. And it sucks to say that, but it is what it is, you know? But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that before we jumped into anything, because I don't really know if or how I'd talk about. I'm probably going to upload this as its own video like tomorrow or the weekend or something, just so I can kind of get my thoughts out for people who are interested in hearing my last year to this year comparison. I played it. You know, it wasn't unbearable to play, but I don't know. I don't know. It just really weighed down on me, the amount of stuff that was on my plate, and it just kind of made the experience a drag after I finished the story content and realizing, oh shit, there's so much to do to the point where I don't want to do any of it, you know? I feel like less should be more. Instead of giving us fucking 200 common chests, give us like 50 precious chests, or give us like I don't know, give us like 50 luxurious chests and like 20 precious chests. Like, you don't have, I don't know. It felt like such fucking busy work and padding. It really felt like they were disrespecting my time this time around, which I was not the biggest fan of. But those are my thoughts at the end of the day for Golden Apple. I guess in general, I just want to say overall, I think this Golden Apple Archipelago was entertaining and enjoyable for the story aspects and the event aspect. I did make a video kind of just getting into like what I did not like, my overall problems with Golden Apple, which was I felt like it was too bloated. I felt like they were trying to do too many different things with the 4 characters and the 4 different islands and the 4 unique versions of puzzles and the bajillions of puzzles on top of that, on top of the world quest, on top of general exploration. And it just kind of ruined a lot of the pacing for me. I know a lot of people who are not going to be finishing this version of Golden Apple because they were so overwhelmed. And it is really unfortunate, you know. This was a lot of people's first Golden Apple. So if it was your first Golden Apple, maybe you're willing to overlook all of that because this is your first time experiencing it. But after experiencing 1.6 last year's Golden Apple and just recently editing all of that content again, I have a very raw and very fresh mindset of the first Golden Apple compared to this one. I loved Kazuha's Island for the story. I love Imanatrite Keep for the story. I loved Shinyan's Island for the story. I loved Mona's Island for the story. But the overworld, the collectathoning, the constant puzzles on top of puzzles on top of puzzles, it just felt overwhelming, and it really kind of like dampened the overall pacing. I feel like I enjoyed the story so much because I chose to focus on story and not on exploration. But last year you were able to do both. And the pacing worked really well, and the story worked really well, and the exploration worked really well, and the puzzles worked really well. But I feel like they focused more on quantity than quality here. The quality was there, but it's disproportionate to the amount of busy work they threw at you, in my opinion. So it sucks because you know, you'd really want this to be a big step up from the first Golden Apple. You'd want everything that this Golden Apple offered to be, and that's kind of what I think like they went for. They were like, they kept Golden Apple normal, but they just like put all of this other stuff on top of it. And I feel like that kind of undid it because they were trying to focus on so many things at the same time. So in doing so, it created an overwhelming sensation for people where people didn't want to go and look for chests or find everything or do all the puzzles. They were just willing to do the bare minimum of, I just care about the characters and the story quests and the conches so I can get the free costume. So unfortunately, that is kind of how I feel about this Golden Apple. I liked it for the story, but everything else felt a little too ham-fisted for me. And, you know, hopefully next year's Golden Apple will be more refined than this one, because at this point, I feel like the expectation is that we're gonna get one a year. Anyway, those are just one man's opinion. And if you liked Golden Apple, nothing I can say can take that away from you. But, you know, everyone's opinions are different. Everyone's opinions are valid. And, yeah.